touch with all my people. So I was able to contact some of my old chain of command, my old first sergeant, my old commander. I was able to get and reach out to people, and they were willing to write me statements. Okay. The VA take their slow ass time, but those statements mean something. So that's something
That's
that you
good. Yeah.
that witnesses. Oh yeah, she threw her back out in Korea. Oh yeah, she did this. I was there. Blah 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 blah. That's all it takes. It's called a buddy statement. But I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
listen.
that's what it's called, the buddy statement.
Yes.
Definitely. I didn't need buddy statements because I was quick to go to sick call. I was trying to avoid my job. You know, I was trying to avoid how intimidated. Um, I was trying to avoid the fear. So if I had a headache, I was going to sick call. Trust and believe that. And it just so happened that uh it worked out. But I was definitely trying to avoid my job. But you're being braver than myself. You stuck in there without complaining. You know,
No, it was dumb.
I
No,
was
let's
always
call it.
complaining.
It was
Always.
no. Let's call it what it was. Dumb, and I didn't, like you said, I just didn't know any better. If I could do it all over again, I would have went every time I had a pain. Because now
Child.
I'm walking around seeing everybody get paid except me. I'm struggling, and everybody's getting paid except me, and I'm in all this pain. It's upsetting. It's very upsetting. Because
No doubt.
and let me tell you, I one of these days I'm just for my subscribers, probably for my members, I'm going to share all the awards I got, through my 10 years. I'm not trying to brag, but I was a good ass
That's
soldier.
another thing.
I knew I was good. You know what I'm saying? I won so many awards and so many medals, and here I am, can't get paid for it. It pisses me off, Mela.
Yes.
But go ahead.
Is there any Facebook group where people get together and explain frustrations and solutions? Or is there a YouTube channel that does that with continuous live streams? Because I think people being in those circumstances, they need to vent until something happens.
Yes, I can say this briefly.
Go ahead.
Now, some people may take it a certain way. I mean, considering what you're speaking about, I'll speak on it. Me, myself, I have made it my sole duty to make my entire platform. It is my platform. I am the king of that castle. That is my home, but it's our house, if you get that dynamic. I absolutely.
Your Teddy Pendergrass voice is distracting me. Go ahead.
Would you like me to talk like this?
I want you to be everything it is about yourself that you need to be.
This is getting intimate.
Real talk though. Briefly to land it, I really have. I've made it my sole duty and effort to make sure that if you have something you want to speak about, you can come right there and just go ahead. You got the stage. Whatever it is you want to talk about, fully protected, the whole nine. I real deal have made it my sole purpose.
You got your channel link in the back? The link to your channel so I can subscribe. I won't pester you. I won't harass you.
You can't pester me, beloved.
I'll just peek in from time to time and find out if you are true about what you're saying. I would like for you to mean it, that veterans can come to your channel and network so that they can get their claims awarded, because that's important. Do you know how much it is to get 100% permanent total compensation plus Social Security disability insurance? We're talking about 6 G's a month, period.
Yes.
And veterans, and that's money that veterans are entitled to, but Congress makes everybody go through the rigmarole of proving that they're entitled to it. And that's the sickening part of it. See, Mahogany ought not have to prove that she deserves that money. They should
Well,
just slip it to her.
but also
But they
listen.
make her jump through hoops to prove.
Oh, more than hoops, but you know, I believe in God, so I'm not worried. I don't worry about nothing, Mela. I swear to you, and that's why I'm all right.
I'm worried about $6,000 a month. I'm worried about it.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Somehow he make a way, honey. But yeah, it's really sad. Because imagine this, Smitty. Were you you were in the military, Smitty?
No.
But that's okay. I want to use you as an example. Pretend that you were.
I was just going to say briefly that my grandfather, who I know dearly, was in the Korean War, and I have a lot of my direct first cousins and a few uncles that was in the military. So I come from like a military police background. I was one of the outliers that didn't go that direction.
And that's fine. Trust
Just
me.
so you know.
No, you're fine. And I think because me and you were on
Respect.
another panel. No respect to you. And I think I remember you saying you come from a military background. But let me just say this. I'm going to use you as an example. Imagine.
Yes.
I'm not trying to put all my military history out here, but when I say I have been through it all, I have from sexual harassment to sexual assault that is documented, to just abuse, just downright abuse. And but I excelled under the pressure, and I led soldiers, and I did a good job, and I was rewarded for it. And then to come now, here I am. So when I went in, I was in my early 20s. Now I'm gonna be honest, I'm 46, I'm pushing 50. So now my body is hurting and breaking down. And they know it's because of Mela, you can't run on concrete 3 and 4 days a week, me being super soldier 5 days a week, and not expect your bones and your knees and you to have issues, especially when you do it for as long as I did it. So, but the fact is to know that they know and they still refuse to give you money. And then you look over to the left and, you know, which I never compare my issues with other people's issues, but it'll make you feel some type of way. It will.
I want to share with you, Mahogany, before we go on, about what nerve impingement is, because a lot of times when we go to these healthcare systems, what they do is they dispense medication. I'm not prejudiced necessarily against medication. What I'm looking for is the cause, right? And it just so happened, I don't know if I shared this with anybody, but it just so happened that there was a couple of persons that were prescribed medications for something that eventually turned into brain cancer, liver cancer, you know, and things of that nature. And what I will say is that I'm not trying to be the natural nutrition guru. I'm just saying that there is a system, and the system entails billing the government for compensation for the services they provide in the healthcare system. On the other hand, there's the actual cause of what's happening. For instance, if you would give me a moment, for instance, there's neuropathy, which is what's labeled as somebody that's not as mobilized as they would like to be. They're not as mobile, or they're not mobile. You know, it's like, oh my God, my legs don't feel like they used to, and I got this pain in my lower leg or whatever. That, I'm not talking about swelling or anything. I'm just doing this one particular presentation of explanation. There is neuropathy. Maybe people have heard of it, that healthcare systems would immediately diagnose someone with, when in fact it's nerve impingement. And nerve impingement, when you start looking it up, it has to do with a nutritional deficiency, right?
Yes.
It has to do with a nutritional deficiency. Now, when you start looking up nutrition and the deficiencies that are procured based on taking medication, then you're working with something. You see what I'm saying? You working with something, because a lot of people are taking medication that depletes, let's say thiamine, let's say B3, let's say, things that are selenium,
Mela.
magnesium, and people in hospital systems aren't designed, because they don't train the doctors. The doctors are not on conspiracies. They are just performing their training. The doctors don't know the important correlation of how the medications they are dispensing are promoting the depletion of nutrients that would otherwise enhance and correct a condition.
Can I say something? And I know Smitty's, so I'm gonna be as fast as I can. You got some kind of calling on you.
Take your time.
Well, I'm not gonna be up here long because I'm behind in my work. But she got so much of a calling on her because that's exactly what I'm going through. A couple years ago, I was in a car accident. A few years before that, I was in a car accident, and then I had my back thrown out when I was stationed in Korea. Right. So all that in combination on top of the fact that I'm bent over in a chair, like it's just bad news, right? So the doctors have already talked to me, and they talked to me about 5 years ago, pretty much after my last car accident, and they're like, girl, you got to get out of this, or you're going to be tore up. You're not going to be able to stand up straight. You're putting too much strain. You got a pinched nerve, this, that, and the third. So I'm going through a similar situation, right? Recently, my doctor contacted me about me being deficient. But see, let me I'm blessed in the fact, that's why I say God is good, because I happen to take pharmacology, so I happen to know a little bit, and I've been trying to teach my family members. I've been trying to teach my mom. These doctors, they're not going to let you know the natural methods first, and then if you do a herbal remedy, it's important that you let your doctor know, because some herbs, even though they can conflict, right? So, and I also let her know, listen, if you are having a side effect, immediately don't continue to take the medicine, immediately stop that medicine and contact your doctor. So I happen to know a lot of this already because in hygiene school, I did take pharmacology. So, and I work with doctors. So I'm aware, and I'm just blessed, but there are people who are not on the medical side of things, and they don't know anything, and they're just doing what their doctor's told. They're just getting along to get along, and they don't know, okay, let me look at some of these. I mean, it is a Google search, but you got to know which websites to go to, because everything in Google is not safe. So, but it can be taught. It can be taught. And anyway, I found out that I was low in thiamine, which is B1, which affects the nerves, right? Which affects your motor system, your muscles. If you're getting a lot of cramping and pain and arthritis, B1 and B12 is just fabulous for energy and metabolism. But yeah, people need to honestly, if we're gonna, as Black folks, we might have to educate ourselves. I personally, my family will come to me, or I will go to them and try and help them. But I always tell them, make sure you check in with your doctor, because I'm not allowed to prescribe anything. But if I find something like with my cousin, then I'll be quiet. My cousin was having issues. She's diabetic, and she asked me if I knew of a natural therapy. Well, I have been taking black seed oil for years, and I'm gonna be honest, I've given it to friends and they all swear by it. So I gave it to her, and her A1C whatever came down quite a bit, and she was feeling quite good with it. So we do need to consider natural therapy. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what's up.
Go ahead, Smitty. Uh-huh.
Can you hold on? Wait 1 second.
We can hear you.
Oh no, I didn't turn my speaker down. My bad. All right, so let me help you out. So don't you know how we all say that there are those of us who are from the African region who were brought over here, right? And then we have some of us who are native to the land. All right, so through research, right? So I'll read this to you. Everything
What's
that you
Cynical? Before you read, what's up, Cynical? I saw you.
Hey, Sin.
Much respect. Shout out to the Cynical one. Shout out. All right. historical records from the 18th to 19th century, right? What we found out is this. You know that you are from the African descent, if you would say, historical wise. When we find out that there's a lot of deficiencies, like for example, okay, so to be brought to a unforeign territory, and now all of a sudden you have to adapt. It could be centuries later, and there could still be health deficiencies. It may not be something that just takes you out right then and there. It could be something as small as a lot of us, as for example, a lot of blacks, we will say, I can't drink no milk. I'm gonna be in the bathroom all day because we are lactose intolerant, calcium deficiency, right? We are more prone to cancer over here. There are a lot of things that take place with our bodies in particular, because there are a lot of us. Now, my family's native of here, and I don't find it to be a coincidence that my immune system is off the Richter scale. I don't get sick for nothing. I don't remember the last time I had the common cold. I don't get allergies. I don't get none of that. Both of my grandparents lived well into their late 80s, one into their early 90s. I come from a family of health, but I also believe that I come from a family that is geometrically set up to be where we always have been. And I do believe that that is a direct decoding indicator from those of us who really were taken away from where we naturally were supposed to be, to land it right here. If we ever notice the direct indicator of that, us as black people, our hair grows out and up. It's called an afro. Why? Because the climate, our nostrils are wider. Why? We need to breathe better. You see, our hair grows out and up, and usually we're less hairier simply because of the climate that we come from. Our hair grows out and up to the sun. Now, with the others in the colder, higher climates of the world, their hair grows down, hairier chest, hairier back, nostrils are more thin. It's to adapt to the climate in which they come from, the region. So if you take us with less hair growing up, and put us over there where they come from, majority of us are going to die off before we can even begin to replenish the population. It's just like if you take an iguana, put it in the Antarctic, take a polar bear and put it in the Sahara. See how long they last. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
No, you're fine. I was listening. I was listening, and I agree with everything you said. Yeah.
I just don't want to hold the floor too long, beloved.
Oh no, you are fine. Like I told H&M, I'm gonna be back and forth, because I'm kind of getting ready for something. So, but y'all continue the conversation. And H&M, I'm sure he'll be back soon. But y'all keep it going. Keep it going.
Nah, I know what he doing. Man.
I'm here.
There he is. Okay, now there you go. So I can cam down now. You gonna take your show back over?
On my show, you don't have to cam up. You ain't got to cam up on my show. You see, I don't cam up.
Nah, you know me. I like people to see what it is that I say. I want to paint a picture with my words.
Yeah, but I like to stay in the shadows and let my work and let my actions speak for themselves. Let my content speak for itself, you know?
Yeah, I was about to say it's kind of hard to show them actions when we cam down, but nah, I got you. Yes, there we go. Let the panel and let what you speak of show for itself. But you know how you do that? Share consistency. Make sure that your actions and how you can produce yourself, if anybody was to ever go back years later from now, it's nothing that they can say outside of. That's been Hustler from the beginning. That's how you protect yourself. Rock out, my G.
All right. Good to hear that. Appreciate it. Now, damn, where was that video I was going to react to? I put it in the back chat, but since I'm back, I guess I'll bring it back up.
Okay.
Ah, there it is. Once again, shout out to Chantel Samo for this. All right, let's continue. Let me know what your thoughts. Let me know if you need to pause it. Fair use.
If you have a lot in common with them, you should be concerned. You should be concerned. And I'm going to be frank, a lot of the time, it's not that they have this insane connection, that they have a lot in common. A lot of the time, the older person in the relationship is using the younger person for something, or knows they can take advantage of the younger person for something, or knows that they can control or manipulate the younger person. And that is exactly why they are there. And I know my comments are going to be flooded with, oh, but my mom met my dad when he was 50 and my mom was 22. Great. I'm happy it worked out for them. But hey, this is just my opinion. I just personally think that if you are 10 plus years older than someone, unless they are over 30 years old, ideally, just leave them the hell alone.
Well, what do y'all think? Y'all think she's onto something? Because I always say after the 5 to 10 year marker, that's where I start sitting. That's where I start drawing the line. But she may be onto something.
My first husband was 11 years older than myself, and
Wow.
I think that's a good see, that's the thing, you know, being under 20. Anyway, as it turns out, it was his personality, his sense of accountability. You know, it was a lot of things about him as a person that affected our marriage as opposed to the age gap. I would like to think that, you know, oh, he tried to take advantage of my youth. When I look back on it, that's not necessarily the case. He just had a personality that was insecure, if I could say that, because he didn't have, I don't know how to put it. He pretended to be something he's not. I can say that. He was pretending to be something he's not by virtue of him being 11 years older than me. You know, because it meant something to him to, you know, for me to just look at him as this all-knowing, all-knowledgeable individual. And because he wasn't secure enough in himself to say up front, I don't have all the answers. I have no idea where we're going with this marriage. I'm just trying to figure out how it can work out. And because I was too young to understand my capacity for assisting him, I was suspicious of him because shit wasn't adding up. Why is it that you talk to me? Why is it that you came to me talking about you speak 5 different languages when in fact you just know, terms? You don't speak 5 languages fluently. Why did you know? So once I discovered that, I started having this perception that he was deceitful. And I'm asking myself as a young person, what's behind this deceit? Because he wants to make himself look good by any means necessary, as opposed to having a true bond with his wife. And that interrupted the growing process between us. It's like when you decide that you're going to be with somebody seriously, okay, not just funning around, but when you're seriously going to be with somebody, the intention ideally is to grow together. And you can't do that under the guise of by any means necessary, I'm going to look good. It's like, no, you're a human being. And we both need to know what we're working with in order to establish the foundation that makes us grow, quote unquote, with each other. And he was too insecure to lead in that direction. It was because he was mischievous. He still had this immature, mischievous nature. He had the nerve to tell me how it was his intention of how to, psychologically impact his ex-girlfriend. He was no longer dealing with her, but they did have a child together. And the goal was for him to see his child, and I'm cool with that. I'm like, great, I'm not ready to have babies, but I like babies. Let's go see this baby. That's cool. And what was more attractive is that we had to go overseas to do it. I'm like, great, another location I can claim I visited. Great. But the whole thing is, he felt necessary to tell me about all the ways he tried to what's the word I'm looking for? Be vindictive, like she disappointed him, he disappointed her, and he wanted to have the upper hand by, sending her DVDs that point out that he had the upper hand. Like he had a vindictive nature, is what I'm saying. That's why I use the word, that's why I use that word. That's immature, right? It's like you have a daughter and all you're focused on is how you can make the mother of your daughter feel bad. Like, that's immature, so that, so he had as time went on, he had a couple of strikes, that he presented in terms of his manhood. So I'm thinking I'm marrying an older person based on the fact that it's a guarantee he's going to be mature, and that's not the case. So I don't have a problem with people marrying younger or their own age. I just want everybody to be aware of proper vetting. Proper vet. Don't make assumptions that just because this man or this woman is older, that they're mature. And if they're not mature, you need to be aware of that so you know what you're working with. Because some people are worth developing. Some people are worth it. And then some people, there's this evidence that presents itself that you were deceived and you can't get over it. The minute I couldn't get over that I was deceived about his presentation of being honorable and upright was after I had a miscarriage. I thought that he and I had the same mindset of compassion for humanity. And then I found out that it was just a thing that we lost the baby. It was just a thing, because when my own office was sending me condolence flowers and gifts and cards, and he was like, why is everybody sending you all this stuff? I said, because we lost our baby, the baby that we named. It was like, oh,
sorry to hear that.
He said that ain't nothing. He didn't say it like that, of course. He said that ain't nothing, we'll try again. He said it like that. And but he used the word, he used the term that ain't nothing. Of course, he followed it up with, we'll try again. So I'm trying not to judge him as a monster. What I'm saying is that that's not the way I looked at it. That's not the way the majority of people looked at it. We're talking about, I'm carrying, a child that's expected to arrive. and that's no longer the case, and your attitude is not to show compassion for it. And I'm thinking, with all the evidence of other things that we've been through prior to that, that you don't have compassion. And I need a man that's compassionate. I know it's not oftentimes a man's nature to have compassion, but I made a decision that I was not going to ever look at him the same. And I would not ever try again to have a child with him. Because let's say, for instance, we had a son. Is he going to be the type of father that's going to overreact when our son makes a mistake, thereby planting a seed of bitterness, and makes that child grow up with some type of arrested development, pause in his life that distracts him from pursuing a successful future? Because that happens. A lot of men, they're like, I don't know why daddy hit me like that. I don't know why he hit me like that. It's because that father doesn't have a sense of compassion. How would he, that's not cool. That's not cool to raise a child with the wrong man. That's not cool to raise a child with the wrong woman. So you have to know who you're dealing with, period. That's all I want to say.
Absolutely. And Dr. Shout to Dr. Steele. He said there are some age gap relationship where the older person is taking advantage of the younger person. Yep. For example, Shannon Sharp. There are some who are serious about each other. I'm currently in one now with a 37-year-old. Okay. Hope that works out for you, doctor.
That's cool. As long as you actually have the same components of compatibility.
Yeah, exactly. He said the big question is, how wide is too wide? Should I feel like a creep if I'm getting with a 20-year-old?
Not necessarily, in my opinion. I mean, I know it looks kind of weird according to society who wants to hate on love, but love is love. And love encompasses compatibility. That's what love encompasses, and compatibility. Like, and I'm not talking about accommodation. That's different. I'm not talking about accommodation. I'm talking about, do you two genuinely gel with each other? Like, she gonna look out for me, I'm gonna look out for her, period. And when I say look out, I mean, if there's something that occurs that I don't understand or could not have conceived to have understand, am I going to be open-minded enough by virtue of loving this person to give it a minute, as opposed to say, I ain't trying to hear that stupid shit. I ain't trying to hit it. That's dismissive. So when you love someone, you're not dismissive. There was a time when he wanted to change religions on us. He wanted to become Muslim. I have nothing against Islam. Okay, let me state that first. It's just that we got married Christians, and then you flipping over to Islam when the money is cut in half. Like all these correlations, because he wanted me not to re-enlist, right? Because it was wartime. It was war. And due to my job, I would have had to have gone to Saudi Arabia. Okay. And he just didn't want to see his wife in that position. And he, didn't want me to re-enlist. I was like, oh, I won't re-enlist. I was a dutiful wife. I obeyed him. And I don't regret that. All I'm saying is he started taking it to another level when he said his family came to visit us, and I'm cooking, and it's an open air, concept, place. And so I can hear, the conversations between him and his brother is ragging him. He's just making all kinds of jokes about him. And I laugh. And he goes out of his way to yell, shut up. You speak when you're spoken to. So his response to being embarrassed by his brother with his family present was to, you know, react to me in a way that was, you know, embarrassing and crazy. And not too long after that, he started talking about how he was thinking about taking Shahada and becoming a Muslim and this. And I was like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. So I go to the, you know, to the meeting with the women, and I'm trying to understand this thing so I can adapt as a dutiful wife. And it just so happened, I've told the story online before, it just so happened, this is serendipitous. It just so happened that the Quran opened up to this passage that said, if your wife disrespects you, you may beat her lightly. And I was just like, hold on, Jim Shoe, cut the break. Like, what, wait a minute. Let's take a break. Time out. Let's say, before we go to what it is that we're supposed to study here, can somebody explain this to me, please? You know, because as far as I know in the Bible, it doesn't discuss anything about beating a woman up, you know, or let alone beating her lightly. Like, how do you beat somebody lightly? You either beating them or you not, you know. And you know, I even have a problem with spare the rod, spoil the child. I have a problem with that passage in the Bible because people interpret that as, you know, license to, you know, hit your child. Like, what if you just, you know, a lunatic and you just want to hit your child? Like, there should be some divine governance that prevents somebody from taking their frustrations out on somebody in a corporal way, right? You know, this whole servitude thing in the scriptures, you know, it bothers me. So here I am, I run across this serendipitous moment of what I could very well be faced with as to his intention. I'm like, wait a minute. Are we developing a system of fear in this marriage? Is that what's happening? Oh, no, my brother. I got to go. No, because you know, sometimes you can see the writing on the wall. And he didn't do this because, oh, it's a more peaceful way of life. We'll be able to focus and be. No, my brother. You are looking based on your previous displays of behavior to aggress yourself toward me. I've come too far as a well-decorated war veteran for me to allow you to aggress yourself toward me. Are you tripping? And I just, you know, it went from there. We got a divorce, and it was sad because people don't get married to get divorced. So it was very sad and depressing. And eventually, what I will say is that it wasn't because he was older than me and trying to take advantage of me. He was just a personality that wasn't compatible for me. That's all. With anybody, I mean, I'm sure with somebody else it would have went different, you know. Somebody that didn't have my confidence and self-esteem, I'm sure it would have went different. I just so happen to have confidence and self-esteem. And
okay,
I
so
wouldn't let that roll.
Okay, so you think he just couldn't handle your confidence or your self-esteem? Because I hear that a lot too. You can't deal with a woman your own age. Yada,
What
yada,
do you
yada.
think?
It could be any factor.
What do you think speak when you're spoken to means? When somebody tells you, and it's not a joke, they mean that. When they tell you speak when you're spoken to, what do you think their intention is?
Oh no.
You see what I'm saying? That's the writing on the wall.
Person, that sounds like a control thing. I don't know.
Exactly.
Why you telling another wrong person something like that? It's like, wow.
No shit.
It's funny how that wasn't.
May I say something?
It's funny how he didn't say that on our first date, ain't it? They wait till they get you cornered and so-called dependent on you, because that was his whole thing too. He was like, well, you're not in the military no more. You depend on my income. Where you gonna go? What you gonna do? You know? You know, that is, he started aggressing himself, trying to put me in a corner. I was like, you done lost your mind. I'm not.
Okay. So do you think, I got a question. So was he the one being completely toxic in a relationship, or was it just a back and forth thing? Because you mentioned lack of compatibility. When I hear stories like that, I think, yeah, maybe y'all both was acting toxic because of lack of compatibility.
Now, I'm not perfect, and I'm trying to recall honestly some things that I did that weren't digestible. If I could say that there was any wrongdoing on my part, it would be to eventually start reacting to his disapproval of not. I just didn't admire him anymore, and I think he could feel that. So he was testing me, and as opposed to being submissive, which because it was my nature, because I admired him. That's why I was submissive in the first place. That's why he loved me in the first place, because of my gentleness. He was all the black women he had ever been with were sassy, loudmouth, unappreciative, and I didn't present myself that way. I wasn't that way. And it's solely because I truly believed in him and his manhood. But when he started displaying a lack of self-control, and it was evident that he was performing an image that was not true, it's kind of like how you pull the curtain back from the Wizard of Oz. It's like, okay, this guy is just, a guy. And he's just a guy that I trusted too soon. And you can feel that. You can feel when somebody is no longer admiring you. And so that's my fault. Yeah, cuz when when he says, I'm going to bring up something real superficial. I wanted to redecorate the bathroom, and it was going to cost a particular amount of money. And we were no longer accustomed to a dual income. And his thing was do what you want, right? So I did what I want. I got all kinds of things to decorate. Just simple stuff. I didn't do a remodel. It was like, just changing shower curtains and towels, just the aesthetics of the bathroom. I changed the aesthetics, and that cost money. And it was like, why did you spend this much? What the hell is wrong with you? And then I said, you said do what I want. It was like, well, damn, this is crazy. This is and what I found out is that
well, let me tell you this.
He was the sole provider, and it was revving up a whole bunch of nervousness in him. He, with him telling me not to re-enlist, which means that we're dealing on his single income, which is what we weren't accustomed to. And he got, his nerves was on edge about being a sole provider.
I would love to respond to some of these aspects that you're speaking of.
Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
I would. Oh my goodness gracious! This is something right here.
Let me read this comment real quick. Shout out to Dr. Quantum. She says there are times when it's better to speak when your man's actually open to listen and hear rather than just talk to him or talk at him. He said, "Was it a reasonable amount of money you spent?"
Come on, hey, listen though.
It was not exorbitant, okay. It was not extravagant, okay.
But wait, beloved.
It was $300 to change the aesthetics of a bathroom. Period.
$300? Damn.
Yeah.
Please, go ahead. Come on now.
Nah. All right. All
And I
right.
wasn't shopping like that on a regular basis. I just wanted to, make a cheery looking bathroom that accommodate a male aspect too, because this was the early 90s, with in living color and all that shit. Cause
Oh yeah.
prior to that, he, there was this whole, it was the item, the aesthetic wasn't useless. It wasn't like anything was worn or torn. What I was trying to do was make something bright and lively. And the only store that I ever shopped at happened to have the new, the new patterns, and it cost some money. Okay.
This is wild.
Okay, we get it. I get it. Okay, Smitty. I'm sorry, Smitty. Go ahead. We can explain a thought. Go ahead.
All right. So let me gather my thoughts.
Don't you want to go in the bathroom that makes you happy? Damn
I
it.
do. I do too, but still.
All right.
Let me hear what Smitty has to say
So
on
bright
this.
and colorful and modern.
Oh boy.
Come on now.
All right. So the one thing that I can say, all right, now maybe this is just a Smitty anomaly dynamic, because I know what a home, listen, there's a difference between a house and a home. Although I live by myself, right? I know what a home consists of. I know how well stocked a home is supposed to be. So I'm just going to start here. That shit be baffling me when women get to talking about how men just don't know how to stock a bathroom and everything else. I'm sorry. Yes, listen, I have over 30 plants in my house. I have pictures hung up on the wall. I have aesthetics, all kinds of shit, candles, you name it. It's decorated. So that's just the first part. So the first part is, are you really reaching for what you know you truly deserve in a man, and or what you qualify for? Now we're going to move forward. All right. So back, when you speak about like, the whole, whether or not this man really gets it, right? Us as men, we get it a lot more than you know. And unfortunately, there has been a narrative that has been set to where, we're supposed to be this, like, still in 2025, this caveman dynamic. We love massages and central heating in the air just as much as you do. Okay. All right. We love comfortable places and clean underwear and socks just as much as you do. The fact is that we need to remember that there are a lot of things that are, let's say, coexisting between the two of us. And then there are those small little pieces that actually give us not separates us. See, that's the problem. It doesn't separate us. It gives us our unique values that really brings us together. Because I'd be like, God damn, I need that nourishment. I need that loving, feminine, soft voice, wonderful flower smelling touch. And you bring that.
We needed to. All he had to say was, if you have a shopping addiction, we need to discuss that.
Now watch this. Okay, so when you speak about a shopping,
but he didn't do that. He overreacted.
No, beautiful, beloved. I'm so glad you said that, sis. All right, so the shopping dynamic. You want to know what's being missed in everything that you said? Although it was very well put together, not once was it acknowledged. How does that man operate and spend? See, what I'm getting to is, how often do women take time to pay attention to how that man moves, just as much as we pay attention to every part about you, just
and
to
that's
get
the age gap. That's the age gap. You got to keep in mind, he's 11 years older and I had no experience in a budget and managing money in a household. It was just me and my check when I met him, and
I
then we got
just want to
together.
tell you
It
this
was
stuff.
2 checks, and we was
That
just having fun.
that is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. What I would like to make clear is this.
So now we living off his check, and he's like, "Wait a minute, baby.
Right.
You gotta slow your roll." And I was cool with that. You like, had he just said it like that, you gotta slow your roll with spending because we're just dealing with my income alone. That would have been a very loving thing.
Do you want to know why he said?
He overreacted, man. We're talking about trying to put fear in me.
Did not overreact.
She.
I'm really okay. All right. What I'm going to do is in one good attempt, and I'm going to leave it alone from there. One good attempt, I'm going to get you to recognize how men's minds work. And I want to see if you actually are receptive to our thought process, because I want to see, do you actually want to know how we feel and think? So let's move forward. When he said, go ahead, babe, I'm just taking you inside our minds. Babe, go ahead, have at it. In his mind at that moment, he was thinking and saying, she's taken enough time to get to know me, because if I'm telling you in my home to do this, if I brought you into my world, I'm thinking I've given you enough time to pay attention to who I am as a man. If you already know I'm not a huge spender, if you already know, I mean, from phone conversations,
he was a huge spender.
I'm going to see if you're able to just absorb. I want you to be a sponge. I want to give you wisdom. I want you to excel in your information on how your brothers work. This is not a back and forth or a debate. This is just one of your black men telling you how your brothers operate and think. So you have more information when you go out into the world. Nothing more. All right, beloved. When he said, go do what you do, he's thinking to himself, all those times we've been on the phone, all those times we've been talking, all those times I've told you how I operate and live. I'm thinking by the time you cross that threshold, you're in my home and I say, go ahead, babe. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. In his mind, he's thinking, I shouldn't have to tell you don't go over 2,500. Don't go over whatever it is. The thing is, he kind of flipped out, not necessarily based upon what you spent. It's more symbolic. It's more metaphorical. The metaphoric symbolic message that I want to help decode for you is, I thought you knew me better than that.
And
I thought you knew that type of money. Like like I said, go crazy, but go crazy within the budget that I figured that you knew that I had. You went on some like ludicrous Jay-Z Nelly stuff. And I'm up here like, hold on.
You ought to know.
Hold on.
One at a time, please. One at a time. But
finish absorbing. So he's thinking to himself, I'm thinking that you paid attention to me. And when that happens, I'm telling you, as men, receive it, take it, absorb it. In our minds, we're saying, you ain't been paying no damn attention to me this whole time. So apparently you was just waiting to get in the door and go crazy. Because if you were paying attention at any form of fashion throughout any point of while we were talking before you crossed my threshold, you would have known not to do that. If we've been on the phone to land it 1,000 times over, and I tell you, I can't stand people wearing shoes in my house. I would think if you say, nah, he went crazy, y'all, because he started yelling at me because I walked in the house on a rainy day with some butter Timbs on and he got white carpet. I would think to myself, well, did he not say 1,000 times how much he makes an emphasis on the cleanliness of his home?
I got another one for you. Okay, right? Okay. I got another one for you.
Are
right?
you? No. Don't have it. Wait. Hold on.
I got another
Listen.
one for you.
No.
Do you know?
I want to hear it. But I want to know first.
I
Wait,
understand
hold
you
on.
trying to program me
No,
to
I'm
think
not
like
trying
you.
to program you. I
Okay,
want
what
to
are you
know
trying to
first.
do?
You
This
hold
is
on.
right here. Hold on. No, hustler. I got this.
All
I
right,
just
go ahead.
want to know,
Continue.
do you at least receive what it is that I'm saying? Because I'm ready to receive what
You
you're.
don't need for me to receive what you're saying.
That
Just say
answer
what
means
you
no.
gotta
I'm
say.
good at this.
Just
Rock
say
on.
what you gotta say. Now, what
Damn it,
I have
Camilla,
to
come on,
say
girl.
is an example where we're overseas. I'm stationed as his dependent wife because keep in mind, he didn't want me to re-enlist. So I'm stationed overseas with him as his dependent wife. So my birthday is coming up and I'm not necessarily into celebrating my birthday. I'm just glad to be alive. But he said, I want to do special, something. I want to have us a special dinner because the NCO club is having steak and lobster on your birthday. And I'm like, oh shit, I would love that. That's great. I'm looking forward to it. Here comes the birthday, right? And I'm a dependent wife. I decided to get, a gig, making the little pamphlets on the duty station. I wasn't just a slouch laying around waiting for him to get home. I get off work, I come in, I get myself together to go to this exclusive club dinner that he's talking about. He comes in, he's tired, understandable, because we both have similar occupations. So I know what he goes through, for his work. And I'm like, he comes in and he's, he's fatigued. I get it because I've been there, right? Later on, you get your second win, and you want to do something that's fun to you. Emphasis on fun, something that you want to do. You come in, you tired. Hopefully, you freshen up, and you do what you want to do to reward yourself from working hard all day. This is what he does. We get people who love us back in the mainland sending VHS tapes of things that we missed out on. It could be Martin, it could be, whatever. Even basketball videos of, championship videos or whatever, stuff that we miss out on because the reception doesn't translate to where we were stationed. So, we're not going to see, a basketball championship for like 2 weeks, So we get this in the mail. This video comes of this, this championship basketball game on my birthday. So he puts it in. I'm happy for him. Meanwhile, when we gonna go to this dinner? And it's my birthday. Right. He was like, hold on. He says, I said, but what about going to dinner? And he said, can you go get it to go? So let me get this straight. I married you so that you can play me about what your idea was to reward yourself of a good time that happened to fall on my birthday. And that's what I'm saying. See, it's one thing for you to mention a woman needs to understand where man is coming from. It's another thing if that brother's intention is to practice patriarchy and I ain't got nothing to say about it. That's the difference. You hear me? Do you hear what I'm saying? It's one thing for a brother, to just say, well, you need to understand where I'm coming from. And it's a second thing that his intention clearly demonstrates all he cares about is practicing patriarchy. That's all he cares about. He's going to change religions on me. He's going to dismiss my birthday after it was his idea to celebrate it and all this, you know, like, okay, I got to deal with this flip-flop over here, this flip-flop over there. And you going to talk to me, Mr. Panel Man, about, well, you should have known. Come on, man. That's unreasonable.
He said, Mr. Panel Man.
Mr. Panel Man. Don't try to play me.
Much respect.
Mela,
to you.
no one's gonna play you.
Hold on, hustler. 1 second. Much respect to you, my black sister. I've only
Do you receive what I'm trying to tell you? Come on, man.
Absolutely.
Say what you gotta say and keep it pushing.
Absolutely.
Because
No shit.
how I live don't make you breathe. You understand? And vice versa.
Yes.
Don't play me.
Okay,
we
never
understand.
ever try to. So Mr. Panel Man would like to respond. So basically, when you were speaking about the servitude part, right? So I would like to say, first of all, thank you for giving me your thoughts. I actually appreciate it. It helps me understand a lot better of how you think.
Do you find me to be bitter?
No. I find
Why is that?
Because I actually find you to be somebody who's just had experiences. Like everything that I hear you speaking about everything you've been through. See, actually the person
there it is. Right there. I've been through something, right? I ain't been through nothing. What I'm telling you right now is that there is a lack of respect. Okay. There's this thing that exists called one-sidedness.
Yes.
And what happens when you critique and when you infer that I'm being one-sided, like you need to take time to understand what a man thinks. Hold on. I've given you specific examples where I've confessed what it is I'm thinking, and you're trying to tell me that there's something wrong in my thinking.
I haven't tried to say anything because
and you use it under the umbrella of you ought to know. That's crazy. Nobody is capable of reading anybody's mind. It's about communication, effective communication. And when you love somebody, you effectively communicate what your joint goals are, as opposed to making them afraid of you. And that's what he did. He systematically attempted to make me afraid of him. That's what he did. And I got out of that shit before it got crazy. So I think you should congratulate me for being insightful and, may I say, exceptionally wise.
Absolutely. My sister, I would love to absolutely congratulate you right now, in the sincerity and most humbleness. Thank you so much for being not another one of those who fell victim to the trick bag.
Just imagine if I would have kept putting up with that flip-flop bullshit. Just imagine.
Then you'd be messed up like all the other angry
people.
Just imagine, man.
Quantum said we all went through something. So you got to pay attention to those you love to know them.
Well, what I'm gonna do is listen, hold on.
He's gonna use a religion.
Real quick.
He's gonna use a
Mela, one at a time.
Okay.
Say one thing. I would like to go ahead and just digress my mic. I am not going to say an utter word until I know for a fact. I just respectfully have the floor in its entirety. I do not debate with my own. I only have discussions with my own. I only love to build and learn with my own. I am not going to say a word once my mic is on mute, starting in 3, 2.
Why do you think we're debating?
I'm waiting for my opportunity to just complete a thought, much respectfully and much.
I was over talking you. That's my bad. I apologize.
Oh man, much respect, my sisters. Man, ain't no big deal. It's okay. I ain't tripping off that. I don't trip off of that. you know, but I will say I will just go ahead and mute my mic. And when you're completely done with your thoughts, then I will go ahead and speak my mind. But I don't want us to like be like trying to talk over each other. I never like the way that looks, and it's never a good look. You're one of my own. Hustler's one of my own. We are all part of our own village. Nobody supports us but our own. Okay. So I want to get you a good mind state of where this man's headspace is. Okay. So I would like for you to finish everything that you have to say in its entirety. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to go on mute. But what I have to say is when you finally do say, Smitty, you have the floor, I'm going to expect to know that I have the floor in its entirety, just as much as I've given my sister the same respect. I digress. My mic is muted.
Salute. Smitty.
So look, I've shared enough.
Oh, you said enough?
I think I've said enough because I got this brother talking about, I tell you what, I'm going to go on mute. And when you finish, I hope you give me the same respect of being quiet.
Oh, bye.
Why?
Okay. All right. So at this point, thank you all. No, it's all good. It's all good. I thank you all for your time. Hey, Hustler, I'm gonna go ahead and retreat back to where it is unrespected. I love you all. No.
And he
That's
doesn't think I'm.
Yeah, we're done
respecting
here.
him.
No, we're done here. I thank you all so much for your time. I have exercised patience. I have shown my own people respect. And this is a perfect example of how my own response to positivity, respect to the family. I digress.
You told